most likely. When I have pushed back on the medicine thing in the past, I have used hyperbole and said things like this. Like when I scrape my knee, I don't think to myself, if I take 3 hits off a joint, I won't feel this anymore. Because that's just not true. It's not going to necessarily do it. But can it stabilize mood? Yes. I think drug counselors, and again, they would have a dog in the fight, not necessarily always on your side, but what they would say is what you're doing there, what a lot of people are doing, and what therapists have, plenty of people have said, is you are self-medicating, essentially. And you're using the marijuana versus the antidepressant, right? Like that's what you're doing, you're self-medicating. To which I'll say, I'm not sure that that's a bad thing to be doing. There are negatives to smoking marijuana in your life. There are. I think I see a lot of them in my daily life a lot. Doesn't necessarily mean you will experience them, right? But there are downsides. But there are serious downsides to some medicine. And the word pill mill didn't just fall out of the sky. Like it didn't. Trust the doctor, right? Trust the doctor. You mean the ones who are running pill mills too? Do I trust them too? Whose doctor, yours or mine? Let's not pretend they all agree on everything, because they don't, right? And so like there's an interesting thing there. To me, it's a lot like the food replacement systems. And I've said about those, I will trust an animal more than I'm ever going to trust a food scientist on the thing that they created that makes it to where I don't have to eat that over there. It's like, yeah, but what happens to the inside of my body when I eat that? And yellow number this, or whatever the hell it is that's still on the, the ingredients that we can't pronounce. Since this country allows you to eat things that are banned in most countries around the world, but you're allowed to do it. You know what I mean? And so I look at like marijuana, if it's getting you off the antidepressants, a little bit like that. Have the butter, not the replacement butter. Right? Take it from the cow. You'll be fine. Right? Like there's a little bit of that, and that's how I view that, and I think that's a similar system. And so I could understand that. Because I'm not so sure that getting off antidepressants is bad. Depending on who you are and who has been giving you the pills. A lot of people who are prescribed pills should be, they're on the right dose, and they're ready to go. And they're good. That's not the reality of everybody. I talked to a kid, I told this story not that long ago, but I talked to a kid who stopped me. I was at Fiddlesticks. And he came up to me, he's like, yo man, you Stansbury, right? Yeah, so we started talking about the show a little bit. We started talking about stuff. And I think he was in his early 30s. And he said, I have been on a prescription pill every day of my life since I was 13. He's in his early 30s, half his life. The next statement he said stopped me in my tracks. He said to me, I have no idea who I am when I'm not on this. And that was a little terrifying, because he could be better or he could be worse. I guess we don't know. Charlie says, I don't want to hear about the taxes and you don't know how much it is. That's a silly argument. Not to find money is still more than no money. Yeah, I mean, yes, some money is more than none, right? I mean, Charlie is right about that. I think the pushback there will be is it enough money to offset some of the negatives that will be coming with opening those dispensaries? There will be some. How many? I don't know, but there will be some negatives. And what they're looking for is, will it offset what we're doing here? Again, I'm very quick to look at the politicians and be like, mess, scams, blah, 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 just want to rip out the money from underneath you. But saying to people yes, we will make some money, but is the juice worth the squeeze? It's like a 10, right, guys? You want it. But she kind of sucks. So let's ask out the 8 instead, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And I think that's what they're looking for. Other people are telling me, Nika being among them, says people in North Canton can afford to not necessarily bring this tax money in. How he made it about being able to buy coke and not weed, right? But the point he's trying to make is, Now, again, I think that this is an estimation. This is, and I talked about this a little earlier, there is neighborhood envy in Canton and Stark County like I don't see in a lot of other areas. There's little brother disease. Like, we all just assume everybody who lives in North Canton has a ton of money. You know what a lot of people in North Canton are? Lying about the fact that they got a lot of money. I grew up in a neighborhood like that. I grew up in Aurora Shores, which to this day is still considered to be a pretty nice neighborhood. It's not as nice as it was when I was growing up. Welcome to how things go. It's still better than a lot of other neighborhoods you could be in, right? Still pretty good. The amount of people who were on my street, I was growing up, who weren't really affording those houses was most. I grew up in a house where those people were barely affording that house. My parents were what we called house poor. Now, why were my parents willing to be house poor? They moved into a neighborhood they couldn't really afford, first as renters and then found a deal on a house and bought one. But they moved in there what for? The school districts. They wanted us, if we weren't going to continue to go to private schools and my brother and I were screaming bloody murder about it, then they were trying to get to school districts where it's like, all right, we can live with that. And my neighborhood was split. You could choose Aurora or you could go to Twinsburg. Aurora required you to pay like an outside resident fee of some sort. And my dad was like, you're not reading enough books. I ain't doing it. You're going to Twinsburg, right? But like Twinsburg School District was still pretty good. Better than where they had been living. And so like, that's what I think that's what that is. To Nick's point, it's like not everybody in Jackson is really affording Jackson. Not everybody in North Canton is really affording Canton. What they're doing is doing a very good job of lying to you and their children about the fact that they are affording North Canton. Welcome back to the Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9. We're online at WRQB.com. We haven't spent a whole lot of time talking 4th of July yet this morning. Had some other things dumped into our lap there, so we talked about that a little bit. It does feel like people aren't as joyous about celebrating the country. It's kind of been feeling like that over the last handful of years and the like. You know, I said something about the debate, and it was part of the reason why, because, you know, you saw a guy not blink for 4 minutes, and of course then that turned into DMs of everybody telling me I'm converted into a cult member now. And like, you know, guys, I did not vote for the former president last election, and I don't plan on voting for him in this one. I don't think criticizing the party I wish I could stand next to is the same thing as helping him. By the way, if it is, then that's a problem with the party I want to be standing next to, and not what my criticisms are. You want to make it harder for a criticism of you to look or appear as help to the other side, then be better. That's what I've said. I was honest about this ticket when we put it together. I said it was trash. I said it then. This ticket is trash. This is where I'm jumping off. Did I know where we would be today? No, I did not know it. Did I think it? Yes. And is that why I told you the ticket was trash when they put it together? Yes. By the way, it's not like I was crazy. Half the party's calling for him to step down right now. Half. The media even. You know what a headline I saw today? Why did nobody tell us? You were supposed to be telling us is what's supposed to be happening. Oh. You were there sitting next to him all day for 2 years telling us that everybody was making too much of a deal out of it. Now all of a sudden, because you think it's going to cost you the election after the debate, now it's a problem? I said after that debate, it's almost like this is why everybody needs to maybe not go down with the ship so often these days. It's become more tribal than ever before, and it's crazy. I feel like a man without a home. I wasn't converted over here. I was left behind by the party that is, Trump is so bad, it doesn't matter that we're so bad too. I was left behind by them. I've said for a while, I will always be more critical of those who I want to stand next to. That's how I roll. If that's perceived as helping, I think that's a problem with the party and not a problem with what I'm saying. By the way, every time you get mad at me, this is why everybody thinks you're an idiot and doesn't take you seriously anymore. Then does it matter what I say about him? Does it matter what I say about the election then? It won't then, right? Because the moment you get mad, nobody listens to me anyway, so it doesn't matter. So can we skip to the end of the page and just say that? Right, let's just skip to that end of that page there. That was what my problem. is like people were blaming the media. Don't talk about this. You're helping Trump. It's like, no. That's not a media's problem. Them exposing it is not, that's not their issue. The fact that there's something to expose is the issue. You're mad about how that coverage is going right now. You go to your party and say, you told us we were getting more and gave us less. Where is that? But you don't do that. You just want to, I mean, and I'm not yelling at anybody in particular, but this is who we all are. We don't want that. We don't want what's hard. We want what's easy. Give me them talking points. Let me just sell this person this, and then I can move forward. But you know how many people have told me they think I have converted into this thing I'm not over the last handful of years? I wasn't converted into anything. What happens, and this was true when Trump was president too, I look at power and go, don't like this, don't like this, don't like this, don't like this, don't like this. That's what I do. You're in power right now. So yes, that is who I'm being critical of when I see problems. If I'm not going to vote for the man, how was I converted into anything? Does somebody have an answer on that? If I'm not in the camp, then how was I converted? Questioning people who say things like, I don't know, maybe Morning Joe, who told you this is the best Biden we've ever had. No, it's not even freaking close. By the way, I wanted Joe Biden to run and be president when he was running against Barack Obama in 2006. For anybody who just thinks I'm like anti-Joe Biden. I'll never forget, because it was me and Kevin Matheny, you know him as Pig Vomit, WNBC. We were sitting around talking about it. And he was the one that told me in the smoking lounge at WMMS, start to get your eyes on this Joe Biden fella. And then you started to see him a little bit more on Real Time with Bill Maher, and he started doing a little bit more. I was like, dude, I gotta tell you, I don't know if I hate this. I kind of like that maybe. And then, yes, there's been the lying and the top of the class and all that stuff that's been out there since the 90s. Fair. But anybody who thinks I just hate the man, it's like, no, I was pulling for him in 2006 before most of the country knew who he was. And again, I didn't know who he was either. It's not like I know more about this. But a guy I liked, a guy I looked up to in the radio business was like, maybe keep your eyes on this. And since he had Bitcoin really early and told me to get on that really early too, I pay attention to what the man had said. I'm sure a lot of you feel like that over the last couple of years, that I've been converted or secretly the hood comes off. I hear that one a lot, dude. Like, it's absolute insanity. Criticism about the show. You have a criticism, that's fine. If you tell me that's not criticism, that's not. That's just hatred. But criticizing a party that should not be helping the other side. And if it helped the other side that much, that's a problem with the party and not my criticism. Your answer is the